Can I make ceramic foam by saturating a sponge with clay and burning the sponge out in the kiln? Let's find out. So, pro tip. Not in the freezer, in the freezer. It's hard to demonstrate, but it's notably stiffer if you put it in the freezer beforehand. Okay, so here's what we have. I have my slop bucket poured off the water. This is what I had next to the wheel, and blended up the clay into kind of a slurry. I'm going to see if I can fully saturate these sponges. You can see they still have porosity. I don't know how full I'm going to be able to get it, but I wanted to see if I could just make it completely full. I'm just going to set that on the counter. Messy? Yeah. Okay, we're going to do 2. So what we're going to do is let these harden, dry out, and then we're going to fire them. And we're going to burn out the sponge, and we're going to see what are we left with. Do we get a solid object? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to let these dry. My hope is that one of them we'd have kind of cleaned off sides, and then one of them I'll double dip and we'll kind of candy coat the whole thing. Well, here they are after 2 days of drying. I assumed I was going to have to wire these off. Well, that's not so bad. Let's get the other one here. Almost feels like I'm leaving a piece of sponge on the table. Interesting, they're heavy. Definitely feel like they're full. So, that's what they look like so far. So I do want to take one of these. I think I'm going to take the smaller one. Looks like this one has a little bit more clay on the surface already. So we'll leave this one alone. I want to take that same slip is now thickened up. And I'm just going to roll this around in here. I'm going to leave one side undone, but I want a thick chocolatey coating. You can see the bottom is relatively how it was, but I have a thicker coating on the sides. And this is just to see whether or not, if we find that this one here, when it's fully fired, just turns into a pile of rubble, does it help at all if you have a candy shell that can maybe hold the internals together? So here's what we got out of the kiln. I'll remind you, this is a Bisque kiln, so theoretically these aren't fully vitrified, but by my way of thinking, there's no more sponge here. This is the ceramic that was in it. Let's see if I can show you. It feels crumbly underneath, and I haven't really taken a close look at these, and I am going to run them through a glaze, cone 5 run, but let's take a look at the underside here. Well, it looks like a sponge, but it feels like it's, well, maybe not. It's hard to say. You can see how it's kind of wearing away. Oof, dropped a whole bunch of powder. But again, I don't know how much of it is just the part that was in contact. It feels like it's getting stronger as you go deeper. So I'm not really going to mess with it. And obviously, where I slathered the outside worked. Ooh, that too. Look at that. Really crumbly. That's firm, but that is really soft. I really don't want to hollow them out too much. I'm going to leave them be. And you know, I'm tempted to give each of these a dip in a glaze up to a certain amount and fire it so it's, you know, off the ground. I want to know if we break them open, can you see, does the glaze flow inside when it fires? And just exactly what happens. So, you know what, let's do that. Let's go ahead and put a glaze. We'll put a glaze on this one. And when we fire them, we'll get to see 2 different things. So let's go ahead and dunk one of these in this metallic matte black. I want to bring you right in because I want you to see along with me just how does this dip. This is well mixed. I just mixed it up. I'm going to take our piece here and I flipped it over. We're going to go ahead and just dunk the top corner in. Now, I must say when I put it in, I wasn't sure if I would expect it to kind of go in and get heavy like a sponge, but it felt quite buoyant. It didn't seem like it was, I'm sure it sucked it in, but hopefully if all goes well after the fire we can cut it open, or yeah, I think we should cut it open, not break it open, and just see how far it went. So, let's get these fired. So, here are the sponges out of the glaze fire. They were feeling a little stuck down, actually. I did not expect that to move. The black glaze turned out really nice, but I haven't messed with them yet, and I wanted to see. If you recall, when it was Bisque fired, this was really soft, almost like styrofoam. You could kind of probably shove your finger into it. This is much, much stronger now. It has kind of a fired sound when you touch it. But I want to cut this open with a diamond saw, and let's see how deeply the glaze went in, and I don't know, just what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so I have a grouting tub set up on the counter, and I'm going to use this diamond saw, which you would use for cutting tile or stone, and I'm going to see if I can do a cut up the center and then across so we can get a view inside of what's going on in this. And you can see I also have a piece of wood so I don't cut into the bucket. Well, that cut really easy, and it's interesting. I'm not actually sure what I'm seeing here. You can see that there is a dark kind of filling in this area, but I really was hoping that it was going to look black, like the outside. Kind of crumbly. You can see it's like a pumice stone, really. I can clearly violate the strength of the foam, but there's no way that I can do that on the glazed part. The glazed part is really strong, I guess, as you would expect. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you subscribe and leave me a comment, and I'll be sure to do a few more tests in the future along these lines.